I have two bills. Senate Bill 419. Maybe we can start with that one. We'll just
Senate Bill 419. If the committee would direct their attention to that, please.
This may look familiar to the committee because this is the equal pay legislation that passed out of committee yesterday on an, I think, 10-5 vote, something like that. It has no fiscal impact. It is legislation that would make amendments to Virginia's equal pay statute. We ostensibly have an equal pay law, but it's lacking in two important respects that this bill is seeking to remedy. This bill would add benefits and privileges to just plain old wages, such as retirement, deferred compensation, paid leave, to those items that employers cannot discriminate on the basis of sex. And second, it would prohibit employers from punishing employees for discussing or in any way sharing or disclosing their income information with one another and benefit information with one another.
Senator Wexton, I believe a concern that came up after you left, and we apologize for the discourtesy, and that's why we carried it over to today. But it's my recollection, and I think you shared with me, that embedded within the existing language is the ability for the recovery of attorney's fees and damages. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. We need to give people the ability to, and that's only when petitioners or plaintiffs substantially prevail on the merits. So it's only for meritorious cases. For any instances where it's found to be a specious claim or without merit, there would be no award of attorney's fees.
Does any other member of the committee have any questions of Senator Wexton? If not, does anyone who'd like to speak in favor of the bill? Well, we've heard it before, so if you'd be ever so brief, that would you get a lot
yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies for that.
Anna Scholl with Progress Virginia. As we noted in Commerce and Labor when you unanimously reported this bill out, this is a basic provision. We particularly support the part of the bill that ensures that employers can't retaliate against employees for voluntarily sharing their wage information. We know that the inability to find out what other employees are making is a barrier to women learning that they're being discriminated against in the workplace. And that provision of the legislation we find to be particularly important and hope would gain your support.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. I think we've had the privilege of hearing from some of you before, and we welcome you back.
My name is Galina Barchana, and I represent NARA Approaches Virginia, and we support this bill for the reasons stated.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair and committee members, Jennifer Allen with Planned Parenthood Advocates of Virginia, and we also support this bill.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, Senator Norman and members of the committee. The administration supports this bill. We support equal pay for women. Thank you.
All right, anyone who might have a different opinion of this particular bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Nicole Riley with NFIB. NFIB supports equal employment opportunity and appropriate enforcement. However, we do have some concerns with the bill. One, we believe there are adequate pay protections already that exist at the federal and administrative levels. As a matter of fact, you can file these both. You have the federal court. You also have the employment EEOC to make claims against. We do believe that by mandating the awards of attorney's fees, we are concerned that this would open up exposure to small business owners with lawsuits. Many small business owners do not have HR departments and in-house legal counsel to deal with these types of complaints. And so we do feel that it could be costly for them. And frankly, it also expands protections dealing with benefits and privileges, which does reduce the small business owner's ability to offer and be flexible with what benefit package they would offer when trying to compete for high-quality workers. And so it's for those reasons we oppose.
Thank you for being with us. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jody Roth on behalf of Virginia Retail Federation. We also oppose this bill for all the reasons just mentioned by my colleague, Nicole Riley. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Ryan Dunn with the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. I just want to quickly point out a couple things. First off, equal pay for equal work is something we all stand behind, but this bill doesn't actually accomplish that. really provides some other problems that we run into. The real big issue is it removes the FLSA coverage. Removing the federal FLSA from this is a big issue. The Equal Pay Act is tied to the Fair Labor Standards Act and requires equal pay for equal work regardless of sex already. So following that and remaining under that would be our where we would like to stay. In an issue with attorney's fees, this is actually a substantial shift, moving from prevailing, substantially prevailing versus totally prevailing is a big shift in how we would be doing things. And then the benefits and privileges is an expansion of it and a very hard way to actually determine whether or not someone is being compensated fairly, because that goes beyond just a number on a paycheck when you start to talk about benefits and privileges. For those reasons, we oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the Committee on Reconsideration, Senate Bill 419 is before you, Senator Newman.
Mr. Chairman, first, when I read over this bill, it looked like a message bill, and I like the message, right? So, but the problem is reading the bill, and when you get into the attorney's fees, it looks like that was purposeful, and it is a substantial change. I think that we need others to look at that, so I would move that the bill be carried over to next year.
Mr. Chairman. Second.
Mr. Chairman, over here. I know I'm the new guy on the committee. If I could just speak to that.
I'm waiting for a second.
Second.
Senator Stewart is a newbie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I voted for this yesterday, and then I was the one who went back and looked at it and realized I had missed a very important provision in it. And so while I supported the concept of equal pay expressed in the bill, the other parts concerned me, and that's why I reconsidered the vote, and I wanted to explain that to the gentlelady. The litigation aspect of it gives me a great deal of concern. That's what I do for a living, and I know the mischief that can be caused by that. So with that, I hope we'd support the motion.
Thank you, Stuart. Any other comments? I think the concept is universally supported on equal pay and equal consideration, but this bill does have some nuances in it that are not quite so subtle. So the motion that's been made and seconded is to carry Senate Bill 419 over. Is there any discussion? If not, open the roll, please, sir. Roll is open. All right, if you'd report the vote, please.
Ayes 11, noes 5.
Ayes 11, no 5, that the bill is carried over. Thank you very much, Senator.